Earl Simmons, known as DMX, was born in 1970 in Mount Vernon, New York. He was born to 19-year-old Arnett Simmons and 18-year-old Joe Barker. DMX was a sickly child and he had a very difficult, turbulent and abusive childhood. He was raised Jehovah's Witness by his mother, who was extremely physically abusive. And as an example of the extent of his trauma and abuse, at the age of 6, his mother knocked out 2 of his front teeth with a broom. DMX has even shared that his mother never told him that she loved him. He had a severely disturbing home life, which of course caused him to misbehave at school with behaviours such as throwing chairs at teachers. At one point, his mother even locked him in the house and prevented him from going for walks or mixing with other children. He did have a safe place at his paternal grandmother's home where he was able to feel safe and cared for, but this didn't prevent the deep wounds and damage caused by the abuse from his mother. At age 10, DMX was expelled from school and was sent to a children's home for 18 months. DMX defined this as a pinnacle moment of betrayal in his life by his mother, as she lied to him and told him they were just visiting the children's home, but she then enrolled him there. These events are really important to point out as they help us to understand and to see why DMX acted how he did and why his mental health suffered so badly throughout his entire life. Months later, he was arrested as a result of an attempt to burn the children's home down. At age 14, he tried weed and crack for the first time, and as a result of the horrendous abuse he had endured from his mother, he understandably did not want to go home, and therefore he began to sleep on the streets. But he did find companionship in stray dogs, and he would bring them home with him, and he loved dogs. We all know that. We all saw a lot of dogs in his music videos, on his album covers. He loved dogs, but his mother, of course, did not like him bringing them home, and so he began to hide the dogs. His mother then again sent him to a group home as a result of this, and it was there that he developed his love of hip-hop through bonding with the other children at the home. And to be honest, there is so much trauma and unsettlement to DMX's story that it is impossible to list it all here. DMX was in and out of prison for most of his life. On one occasion, the police shot one of his beloved dogs and he ended up in juvie. However, he managed to escape and he found retreat at his grandmother's house. But it was only a matter of time before his mother showed up at his grandmother's door with the police, saying that DMX needed to go back to prison and he needed to pay consequences for what he had done. I mean, you can just imagine the feeling of betrayal that he felt towards his mother here. In 1988, as a result of carjacking and while in prison again, he dedicated most of his free time to writing lyrics and rapping. When he got out of prison that summer, he began to release and sell his mixtapes on street corners. And in 1992, Columbia Records signed DMX to the division Rough House Records. But this didn't work out, and in 1998, DMX signed to Def Jam Records. DMX released his debut album, It's Dark and Hell is Hot, in 1998. The album was a commercial success, selling over 5 million copies and earning him a Grammy nomination. He released 6 more studio albums and acted in several films, including Belly, Romeo Must Die, and Exit Wounds, making him a staple and legend within the hip-hop genre. DMX was married 3 times and has 15 children. He had several legal issues, including tax evasion and animal cruelty charges. And as a result of his substance abuse, he was in and out of rehab multiple times. DMX was a very spiritual person, and although he battled with his demons and with drugs, he was clear in his faith, talking openly about Jesus and God on many occasions. DMX spoke openly about selling his soul to the devil through his music and the demonic ways of the music industry. DMX grew to hate the industry, speaking publicly and through his music about his dislike towards it. He has been quoted saying, "Test the wrong one in the industry and you will get hurt. I'm not an industry artist, I'm an artist in the industry." DMX did not want to be part of the industry, he was very against it. When in prison, he was asked how he ended up there in an interview, and he responded with, "I think everyone who's watching knows how I ended up in here." The interviewer replied, "I don't think they do," to which DMX confirmed, "I'm pretty sure they do," hinting to it being a result of him talking out on the industry. DMX sadly passed away on the 9th of April 2021 at the age of 50, and it was reported that this was due to a heart attack caused by a drug overdose. However, many question whether this is actually what happened. DMX was such a strong and powerful energy in music, always unapologetically standing up for what he believed in and not being scared to do so. As we know, it is often the case that those who take this stand in the industry end up passing away, often through unexpected or mysterious circumstances. DMX is a legend in the realms of rap, but because of his outspoken nature and the nature of the music industry, there is understandably questions and conspiracy around his passing. And so today we raise those questions to Spirit to try and gain some clarity and answers. Hi lovelies, welcome back to What Really Happened, a series on my channel where we look at mysterious celebrity passings or high profile missing persons or any situation or event where there is conspiracy or mystery around it. This is the series for that. So this is an energetical point of view. We tap into the cards, we tap into the energy. I raise and connect with Spirit to find out what really happened. And today we are reading for L. Simmons, DMX, who was, I guess some may say, a controversial character in the hip-hop industry, but feeling into the energy, I really do feel he was just seriously misunderstood. So if you do enjoy this reading, please do hit a lovely thumbs up. Please do subscribe to join our lovely community if you haven't already. Share the video with anyone who you feel may enjoy it. If you do want to support the channel, you can donate and buy me a cup of tea. You know I'm a Brit, I love a cup of tea, by donating to my Ko-fi down below. That's also in the description. And yeah, let's get into it. I have to say, this reading's been a long time coming. I uploaded and asked you for questions around this reading a month ago. And I have tried to film this reading multiple times since then, but the energy's been very, very off. And as I sat yesterday, Spirit said, you are not going to get a clear connection with DMX because he has not settled in his transition. And it's been over a year since DMX passed. But the one phrase that I continuously hear when I connect in or try to connect in is that I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be here. Like, there's a real feeling that he shouldn't have passed. He should not have passed. And yeah, that's all I can say. It's like I've never had a connection like this. Like, whenever I've tried to raise the connection to anyone in spirit, it's always been a very, very smooth thing. And if it hasn't, I haven't read. But it's like I still had the go-ahead to go ahead with the reading. But Spirit were like, you're not going to get a direct connection to it because you can do it. But see, even now I'm like, it's a confusing one. And, Spirit made me feel that DMX has carried a lot of his trauma from the earth side over to spiritual realms, and he's still working through it. There's still healing, and there is also a lot of trauma around how he passed. Now, when I'm talking about how he passed, I am drawn to the heart section. Now, what did they say he passed from? Was it an overdose or something like that? I feel like I can't breathe. That's how I feel. I feel like I can't breathe. I feel like I'm being suffocated. And the word that has come through continuously when I've raised this to Spirit is poison. So whatever they say he died from, I feel like they are correct. But do I feel like he took this willingly? No. It feels like I'm intoxicated. I can't see properly. Everything's blurry towards the end of his life. My vision's going hazy, and then I'm gone. And I'm transitioned. And it almost feels like, okay, he did take it willingly, but like the drugs he took or something like that were, the word that's coming through is laced. Does that mean that they had something else in them? Like, this was, I feel, a setup. I feel someone knew he was going to be getting these drugs or something like that, and they were laced with something else. Something else was put in them that is toxic and should not be consumed by humans. And it did, I feel, trigger some kind of heart issues, some kind of breathing issues, then went up to the, see, even now I'm like, the breath is like, I'm struggling. And then the issue went up to his head, and then his eyes went funny, and then before I know it, he's on the other side. But because of the way he passed, because it was not natural, it was very unnatural, there is a lot of trauma. And also with DMX, you have to understand the word that Spirit give is anointed. DMX had a very big life purpose on his back from a very young age, and I will go into the cards as always, but I'm getting a lot coming through. And so he had a big purpose. There was a lot he didn't finish. The phrase I'm hearing is, my mission wasn't complete. I didn't finish. I didn't get to finish what I did. I even feel his spirit as he's passing, trying to come back, trying to constantly come back. And he's not settled. He's not at peace, which is sad. So, yeah, I'm going to pull the cards now, see what the energy entails. Then I'm going to go to the questions that you put forward. And, yeah, it's just coming through. Can we leave some white hearts down in the comments for DMX, just to send him love and healing? White hearts do represent that purity, that healing energy. So if we can send that out, that would be great. So, okay. Whew. Right. One thing I am seeing, Spirit, can we get the clarity and guidance spread for DMX? 8 cards for DMX. The energy around him before he passed. The energy around him before he passed. So one thing I really do see happening with DMX before he passed is I see him signing a lot of contracts. Okay, I see DMX signing a lot of contracts. I feel he was in the midst of business deals, and I feel like some of these business deals would have upset maybe colleagues, maybe people who were in the same industry as him, maybe high up profiles. I feel like he was about to launch maybe a competitor business that was a really good idea that would have put a lot of other people out of business. And I feel like word was getting around that he was about to do this, because what Spirit's telling me is, and I didn't really follow DMX like this, okay? I really didn't follow his career in this way. Like, I know the music, but I really wasn't like big on him. Like, I wasn't like a big massive fan. But Spirit is saying that he was out of the game for a while. Like, he hadn't done music for a little while. He hadn't done any business deals for a lot of while. And I feel like he was just about to come back. He was just coming back, and I see that in the first card that Spirit have given, which is the Star. I feel like he was on his way to coming back. My breath still hasn't recovered. Like, whew. Okay, can I get 7 more cards, please, Spirit, for DMX? For the energy of DMX around his passing, how he felt around his passing, what was going on in his life. A lot of the things I have seen is that he was picking things up, yeah. So he was getting back on top where life was concerned. He was looking healthy, he was looking well. And so when this thing came out about, well, first of all, it was like COVID, wasn't it? And then it was a drug overdose, I think. I'm not even sure. And I think that took a lot of fans by surprise, because as far as people knew, he was getting better. And that's why there is such conspiracy around it. Also, he was talking a lot about God. He was talking about his religion, about Christianity. And as we know, there's a lot of conspiracy about demonic rituals and things within the industry. And DMX really had a hate of the music industry. Can we just point that out? He despised the way that things went down. He despised the things he saw. He really was aware. And when I say that he was anointed and he had a bigger purpose, this is exactly it. There are people within the music industry that are in there to try and heal and guide and make it better and bring light and shed light on the wrongdoings and all of that kind of vibe. Spirit's actually given me Kanye West. Believe it or not, Kanye West is actually one of those people. Does he go about it in the most, normal way? Absolutely not. But that's why people stop and they listen to what's going on with Kanye West. He is sent to disrupt. DMX was the same. Tupac was the same. These big characters are sent to disrupt the energy of the dark energy. We are in spiritual warfare. We have been in spiritual warfare for a long time. So when you start hearing, this is why I say don't believe instantly what you see portrayed by the media, especially when it comes to celebrities. Because a lot of the time, if a celebrity is being they did it to Michael Jackson. If a celebrity is being taken down, it's usually because they are about to try and expose something, or the elite, the higher up, are aware of the power they have, the influence they have, and the purpose that they have. And DMX definitely had a bigger purpose. Okay. Always a card falling on the floor. Always a card falling on the floor. Okay, that was Knight of Cups. Okay, 4 more cards for DMX, please, Spirit. 4 more cards for DMX. What really happened? Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. I mean, this makes total sense. Final card, please, for DMX. Final card for DMX. Final card for DMX. I just keep hearing like, I'm not at peace, I'm not at peace, I'm not settled, I'm not at peace, I'm not settled. And I really do feel that, like, he's not at peace, he's not settled, he hasn't transitioned fully, he doesn't want to be on the other side, he was not ready to go. He was not ready to go. There's like this element of trauma, like he feels traumatized, the spirit feels traumatized. He was not ready to leave Earth, he just wasn't ready. So, first card that came over was the Star. And that is tied in with the Page of Cups. So as I said, from a young age, DMX had a very, very, very difficult upbringing. Very, very, very difficult. And spirit linking with his emotions, it made him very emotionally immature, especially as he progressed as an adult. However, we do see here with the Knight of Cups, he was learning to emotionally mature before he passed, but he never made it to the King of Cups, you know. He was a page and then a knight, but he hadn't quite made it yet to a king. His emotional... he was very deep, very, very deep soul. He felt very deeply, but Spirit is saying he had trouble possibly like controlling his emotions or channeling them or directing them and guiding them in the right way. They often came out as maybe like temper or frustration and anger, and Spirit makes me feel like in his later life, towards the end of his life, he was on the journey to controlling that and, you know, trying to make that better. But from a young age, Page of Cups, he was emotionally tested, especially when it came to his dreams. Often when you have a big purpose placed on your life, you will be challenged. And the preparation comes through the challenge. That's where you are prepared. The obstacles, and that's with life, that's for all of us. You know, every single time you get challenged or tested, you're being prepared, you're being strengthened, you're being... called to be more resilient, called to be more strong, you know, you're being built up. And it's hard to see that in the time, but you are, and that was very much the case for DMX. From a young age, he was very, very like challenged from his parents, from his society, from the environment he grew up in. Like, his emotions were constantly challenged. Like, I feel that DMX was actually a very sensitive child, and which is another reason why he's shown up here as the Page of Cups, because I feel like he was very, very sensitive, but there was no room in his life to be sensitive. He didn't have the luxury of being able to be sensitive or vulnerable because of the abusive situation that he grew up in. And the Star represents having that big purpose and following it regardless of the challenges that get in the way, regardless of the obstacles, regardless of any of that. That is what I really feel for DMX. You know, no matter how many times he got knocked back, he got back up. No matter how many times he got knocked back, he got back up. And you know, he was a real persistent energy in that. You know, when you are a light worker, which I really do feel that he was in his own way, it can be challenging. Your path can be very, very, very challenging, because in order to share, to teach, to mentor, to guide, you have to experience certain things in life that aren't always fun, that aren't always easy. Next two cards for DMX are the Six of Pentacles and the Four of Swords. So DMX definitely, I feel, I don't know if this was ever declared, I don't know. I feel like either bankruptcy or he lost a lot of money. And Spirit makes me feel that as he was going towards the end of his life, his money was building back up. His money was building back up. Six of Pentacles is all about giving and receiving money in balance. DMX really didn't have a problem with giving money to people. And I also feel that because of his challenging relationship with his mother in particular, I feel like money was a way he felt he could heal that. Four of Swords is about healing. And because he did feel so unloved and therefore so unable to give love as he moved forward, it was very vulnerable for him. It felt very uncomfortable for him, as much as he really did want to. I do feel he had a very, very big, sorry, they're going all the way up here, sorry. I feel like he had a very, very big heart. I really do feel like he had a big heart and a lot of love to give, but because it wasn't nurtured in his childhood, he struggled to be able to do that. And so as he grew up and he started to make money, that's how he started to heal his relationships and show his love. And Spirit links this in with his children. I feel like he struggled because of his own connection with his own parents. He struggled to connect with his own children, and I know that was well documented. And so his way of, you know, loving them was like, well, didn't I pay for you to do this? Didn't I make sure you had the best schooling? Didn't I make sure you had the best clothes? And his kids are like, yeah, but we needed something else. He just wasn't able to. It was in him. He definitely loved them. I feel like he loved his kids immensely. He just struggled to show it because of... The thing is, when we get traumatized in childhood, so when he was a child and he tried to show that love to his mother and then his mother scorned him or put him down, he has then learned as a behaviour that, okay, it's not safe to show love. If I show love, someone's going to be angry at me or they're going to hurt me. And so that he carried that through adulthood. And I do feel towards the end of his life, we will get onto it, that he began to heal it. But at this point that I'm picking up on here, he did struggle to show love. So his way of healing relationships, healing his relationship with his mother, healing relationship with certain people in his family, healing his relationship with his children, was to give money. And I feel like he was trying to heal his relationship with money as well, because I feel like for one reason or another he might have lost a lot of money as well, but I do feel like he was getting back on top. And that brings me on to the next two cards, which is the Ten of Wands and the Wheel of Fortune. Ten of Wands is all about burden, responsibility, carrying this weight on your shoulders. Oh my goodness, like when I talk about the anointment that was on DMX's shoulders and the purpose he had, like he knew it. He knew he had this purpose, and it's heavy. Have you heard the phrase, heavy is the head that wears the crown? When you're wearing the crown, you're a king, you're a leader, you've got responsibility, you've got all of this. My shoulders feel so heavy, they actually feel achy. Like it was too much. It was too much for him at times. The drugs were an escape from that because he just knew he was destined for more. A lot of the time he felt he couldn't always get there. I do feel towards the end of his life he finally started to get into flow. But it was heavy. It was a lot. It was really, really heavy for him to carry. But the wheel did start to turn. Things did start to change, especially towards the end of his life when he started to dive more into Christianity. Completely. I feel like he always felt quite torn between how he could be a hip-hop artist and be a Christian, how he could be into drugs and, you know, go to church. And I feel like towards the end of his life he started to find the flow in that, and things really started to change. And so because he started to heal and started to realise that he could have that duality, you know, and to know that he is perfectly flawed, he started to go on a healing journey and his heart started to open up a bit more. And then he started to be like, okay, I can get back into business now. I can start making money again. Last card for DMX is the Page of Wands. He was just starting new business ventures. Wands are all about fire. They're about doing the things that light us up. And because of that, they are directly linked in with the area of career. He was about to restart. I don't know whether he was re-recording an album. Not re-recording, recording a new album. Or maybe I said re-recording because he was re-recording something. I feel like Spirit's giving film. I feel like he might have signed contracts to get into film. Spirit's giving Fast and Furious. Was DMX linked to Fast and Furious? I feel like he was signing contracts to do future... They're giving me, it's either Fast or Furious, or it's a film that's like Fast and Furious that he was signing deals to be a part of. He was getting back into his career because he'd finally been able to sort out his healing. You know, he'd finally been able to sort out what was going on within him. And so he was like, okay, I'm ready to start now. And sadly, just as he was starting to, you know, get back out there and heal and really get back on board and really start moving forward with things, you know, we saw him on Versus, we saw him on his Instagram lives and stuff, that, you know, as he started to kind of be ready again, unfortunately, his life ended. And I feel like that's why he's like, I'm not finished, because he wasn't. He was just getting started again. So that's, it's quite, you know, sorry, that came through very, very thick and fast. So yeah, he just wasn't ready to go. He really, really wasn't ready to go. But I ask you, as I do with every what really happened, to send in any questions you'd like me to raise this spirit for you. So I'm going to go over to the YouTube community tab now and see what questions you sent in to be raised. First question. What was he going through around the time of his death? He looked very happy in videos a couple months beforehand, which is why it was so shocking. So this is exactly what I just said. He was happy. He was healing. He was on a healing journey. I'm not going to pull a card on that because we kind of touched on it. I feel like he really was on a healing journey. He was moving forward. He was making moves, you know, very, very slowly at his own pace, because by this point in his life, I feel like he'd really learned himself. He really knew himself. He's like, I can't go full steam ahead. I have to take this very, very slowly. And he really was on the path to starting to come back into the spotlight, starting to feel ready to come back again. And that's why it was so shocking. But again, as I said, I feel like this was a one-time thing that unfortunately I feel like he kind of was like, okay, let me just do this one time, let me do the drugs one time, you know, and then I'll stop. But unfortunately, I feel like the one time he may have decided to do it, the drugs were laced. And I keep hearing the word laced, and I don't know if that's the right phrase, you know, when drugs have something else in them. That's what I feel like. That's what I feel. Although, there's also this thing of like, did he know that he was taking the drugs? Were they crushed up and put in food? I don't know. There's this thing of like, that feels like I don't know what I'm doing, and I didn't know that this would happen. Or, you know, or maybe he felt like he was being given, I don't know, cocaine and it was crack. I don't know. Like something like that where it's like, I've been misled. Okay? Wondering if he's at peace now. Sorry, next question. Wondering if he's at peace now and if he reunited with Aaliyah in heaven. I read Aaliyah was my last what happened to. Aaliyah actually did not mention DMX being with her, I don't feel, in that what happened to, and I don't feel he is at peace, sadly. Sadly, I don't. Next, any regrets in life, and is he happy/happier now? Again, a lot of this has already been covered because there's regrets he didn't get to finish his mission. He didn't get to finish what he wanted. Like, he'd taken that break to really get himself together, and he was just about to come back and like do all of these things. He wasn't ready to go. And sadly, I'd love to be able to be like, yeah, he's at peace, but he's not. Okay, next question. DMX has said he had to leave because he was needed elsewhere. Is this true? If it is, why? Who? So let's pull a card on that. Was he needed elsewhere? Did he know? Ooh, interesting. Okay. As I say that, it's almost like that's interesting because even though he wasn't ready to go, it's almost like he knew he was going. And I have to say this, that, you know, as I said, he was anointed. He was very spiritually aware. He was very in tune. He was very good at knowing who was snaky around him. See, this is where he went a little bit off track because he wasn't able to get in touch with his emotions throughout his life. He was very out of alignment with his intuition. But as he got older and he moved more into his emotions and he felt safe to feel how he felt, he could harness his intuition a little bit more. So I feel DMX knew he wasn't someone who was going to live till old age, but he wasn't ready to go yet. So, let's just see. DMX has said he had to leave because he was needed elsewhere. Is this true? Did DMX... Interesting. I'm going to pull another card. Was DMX needed elsewhere? Did he know he had to leave? Okay. Interesting. Was DMX needed elsewhere? Did he know he had to leave? Final card. There's so much confusion with his spirit because it's almost like he spoke to God. And I know that's going to sound very strange, but it's like he had a full conversation with God. And God, it's almost like not just he was talking to God, but like he heard the voice of, you know, the higher energy. And it's like he was told, you know, you've got things to finish and you are going to be called home early, but not for a while. Like, and so when it happened so quickly, I feel like he was just confused because he was like, you know, you told me not yet. Like, you told me not yet. Two of Wands is about having a long-term plan for what's going to happen. This is the Two. This is something you've done in duality with someone else. And I feel like he was so connected to spirit towards the end of his life. He was so focused and directly focused on what he needed to do that when he did transition, he was like, no way, it's not time. So interestingly, yes, he did know he was going to have to leave, but he wasn't ready to yet. He wasn't ready to yet. And again, it was almost like he didn't know it wasn't that he needed to leave. It was like, if I don't leave, like someone's going to kill me kind of thing. Because again, we've got here 5 of Pentacles and King of Wands. There were other men in the industry, people like other moguls, shall we say. I won't name them. Other hip-hop moguls of DMX's stature who were very threatened financially by what he had in the bag. I cannot tell you, I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was. But he had an amazing business venture in the bag. And I feel like he had meetings with some of these men and they said, don't do that. And almost made jokingly threats to him, like, don't you dare pursue this because it's not going to end up well for you. You know, it's almost like with DMX, it was a keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer kind of vibe. I don't feel like DMX actually had a lot of friends, which is quite common when you are given such a mighty purpose in your life. You can't really have a lot of friends because you can't trust anybody. So was it a case of he needed to leave? No. Was it a case of he knew if he didn't leave, something was going to happen to him? Yes. And was he aware that he was going to leave sooner than, you know, turning 18, 90? Yes. There was just a lot of unfinished business. A lot of unfinished business and things he did not get to leave done or completed on this earth. And, you know, sadly, unfortunately, when I tap into his energy, it is the case of, you know, he hasn't fully transitioned. He sadly isn't at peace. And that is sad. Because the last question someone asked is, how did he really pass? They keep saying, what they keep saying doesn't make sense to me. And that's because I do feel it was a setup, you know. And I hate to say that all the time, because after you repeat that so many times in these readings, it becomes like, oh, what, is everyone a setup? Yes. Because the people that they want to remove from the earth plane are people that have powerful anointings, who are the light workers, who are under disguise in this demonic industry, who are the ones who are trying to make things better, who are the ones who are powerful beyond measure, who are the ones who are a what's the word? They are a threat, you know. So I feel his passing came from the word that keeps giving to me 2 words: laced and poisoned. I feel like he was given something that he didn't know what it was. He thought it was something else, and it triggered something to do with the heart, something to do with the breathing, and then something to do with the mind. It was like one after the other. His heart went, his breathing went, his mind went, and he's transitioned. But he still hasn't transitioned because he doesn't want to be there, you know. It's like he still wants to get back. I don't want to be here. I've got unfinished business to take care of. Whew. So, thank you so much for watching, lovelies. Please do leave a white heart down in the comments for DMX. As I said, white hearts are about purity, healing and love. So if we can send that to him, that would be amazing. Sending all the love, peace, light to DMX as, you know, he does try and transition. And let me know who else you would like to see a What Happened To for. Please do hit a lovely thumbs up if you did enjoy the reading, and I will see you soon for another reading, lovelies. Bye!